Ayo, it's Wise Intelligent, the poor righteous teacher himself, founder of the algorithm, where we keep the culture on code. Welcome to episode 8 of Shut the Up, a series of short communications where we debunk popular myths circulating in this culture and community that serve no other purpose but to pathologize Black people. Myth number 8: the Black community is an under-resourced community. Working in the community service and not-for-profit sector, I hear everyone from politicians to banks and corporations refer to predominantly Black neighborhoods as under-resourced communities. But that's a myth and a lie. Black communities are not lacking in resources. We are overflowing with resources. What we lack is control over those resources. Our neighborhoods, our people, our culture are being over-extracted. Our wealth, talent, and innovation drained out with little to nothing flowing back in. But let's break it down. Let's start with athleticism. I know all Black people don't know how to play basketball, but athleticism is a resource. When we consider the NBA and NFL are billion-dollar industries, the NBA alone is valued at $90 billion, and the NFL, that's a $140 billion enterprise. Now, who drives these leagues? Black athletes. Over 70% of the players in both the NBA and NFL come from Black communities, often from neighborhoods labeled poor and under-resourced. But where do the billions in profits go? To billionaire team owners, media executives, and corporate sponsors. Very little of that wealth returns to the neighborhoods that produce these athletes. While young Black kids dream of making it to the league, their schools lack funding, their neighborhoods lack investment, and their families struggle financially because the wealth they generate is siphoned off before it ever has a chance to nourish their own communities. Then there's the cultural resources. Hip-hop is a cultural resource and a global force, a $20 billion industry shaping fashion, technology, film, and music worldwide. But how much of that money flows back to the communities that birthed it? Less than 1%. From record labels to streaming platforms, from sneaker brands to billion-dollar streetwear empires, Black culture is the fuel, but the economic engine is owned by outsiders. Hip-hop started as a voice for a much maligned, marginalized, and oppressed community, but today, corporations control the mic. Black artists may be the face and commodity, but the ownership, the equity, the generational wealth, extracted. And it's not just music. Black visual artists, filmmakers, content creators, and tech innovators drive global trends. Yet investment in Black-owned creative businesses is minuscule. Why? Because these industries profit more from extraction than they do from empowerment. This is also why a lot of these gatekeeping check chasers need to shut the up. You know, the melanated agents who work in concert with the culture poachers. But let's look at academic resources. What about Black intellectual talent? Black students excel at HBCUs and PWIs alike, only to be funneled into corporate America, government institutions, and global firms. They take their brilliance, their knowledge, their skills, and they use them to build wealth for others. Why? Because they can't come home and make a living. Systemic disinvestment means there are few opportunities for Black professionals to thrive in these communities. If a Black engineer, scientist, or economist wants a job, they have to take their talents elsewhere. Their intellectual capital is extracted, just like their cultural capital, just like their athletic capital. There's also monetary resources. For generations, Black communities have been economically terrorized through red mining, discriminatory banking practices, and predatory lending. Black-owned businesses have historically been denied access to capital, allowing foreign and outside entities to move in and control the supply chains of Black consumer dollars from manufacturing to retail. Think about it. Who owned the corner store? The beauty supply shops, the grocery stores. Not Black entrepreneurs. Not since integration. That money is extracted daily. That's by design. The system ensures that Black wealth is constantly drained while the myth of under-resourced communities is repeated to justify why these same neighborhoods never seem to improve. Another resource we possess that is often overlooked is our humanity. Our humanity has been leveraged by people from around the world when it comes to civil rights, equity, and justice. Our humanity is also exported to other countries on diplomatic missions in the form of the arts to humanize a country that once considered us subhuman. The truth, we are not under-resourced. We are over-extracted. Black communities don't need charity. We need to look within. There's an African proverb that says, everything the village needs is already in the village. We don't need to beg for resources or seats at tables. We need to reclaim control over what is already ours. Imagine if Black athletes had ownership stakes in the teams they play for. Imagine if hip hop artists owned the platforms that distribute their music globally. Imagine if Black professionals had the infrastructure to invest in businesses and institutions within their own communities. Now imagine if the community had equity in the resources we produced and profits came back to build the community. This is not about a lack of resources, it's about who controls them. This pattern of extraction isn't just happening in Black communities across America, it's happening on a global scale. The same forces that drain Black wealth, talent, and culture in the US are the same forces that have plundered Africa for centuries. Africa is the most resource-rich continent on Earth, home to vast reserves of gold, diamonds, oil, rare earth minerals, agricultural wealth, manpower, genius, and innovation. Yet the world continues to portray Africa as impoverished and underdeveloped. Why? Because just like Black communities, Africa is not under-resourced. It is over-extracted. Its wealth fuels global industries from tech to fashion, while its people are kept in economic distress. The same colonial playbook that extracted Africa's natural wealth now extracts Black intellectual, cultural, and economic wealth across the diaspora. Whether it's cobalt from the Congo, the artistry of the Harlem Renaissance, or the athletic dominance of Black communities of South Florida, the pattern is the same. The world profits from Black resources while ensuring that Black people remain locked out of that wealth. It's time to change that. So next time someone calls Black communities under-resourced, tell them to shut the up. The truth is, we are the most resource-rich people on the planet. It's time to stop extraction and start the reclamation. That's it for this episode. If the conversation resonated with you, share it, challenge the narrative, build with those around you, because the more we understand the dynamics of this reality, the better we can create a new one. Peace.